What's up, y'all? I am dumb late. I told you I was gonna do it on Tuesday. I told you that. I told you. I said I was gonna come on Tuesday and do the Mental Man Monday live stream. But the issue was, you see my bottom likes and subscribe. But the issue was I felt like I was supposed to button down it. I'm trying to get a background because I feel like it's looking glitchy. And I don't want it to be choppy the whole time. Um Trying to figure what should we do? What should we do, y'all? Um, let's see. I'm trying to see what make the most sense. I don't know. I don't know if I like this. I might just have to turn it off all the way. But anyway, let's just jump right into it. So this week we're talking about a few different things on the day before Christmas Eve. The day before Christmas Eve. Now, um, what I want to talk about is the recap of the most recent episode, which was um, track three, social media and you reloaded part three featuring Anthony Dotson. Now, on YouTube, the episode didn't really do too well. It did decent, I think, on the audio, but the YouTube didn't do too well. But I liked that episode because when I reached out to him and I was getting information together for the episode, or just trying to get the final track list down for the series, I was just talking to him about family, him building generational wealth, and all his clips and all his content talk about the things that he does with his family, which is his daughter. But I like how in the episode we talked a lot about that, but also as you see, transferred it over to the conversation about, what about your social media with your well, not social media, but just like doing business with family in general. Because usually I'm against that because they say you don't live with your family and friends, you don't do business with them. He redefined that because he's doing it with his daughter. I'm interested to see like as she gets older, like are they still be in business together? Or how does the dynamic gonna change? Because kids start off one way, because sometimes flip. You just never know. And nothing against him or saying it in a bad way, but just sometimes just seeing how I want to see how that turns out because he's clearly creating. She's gonna be a mogul. She's a mogul in training. And it's funny because y'all don't think we talked about it on the episode, but I've seen him. We didn't seen him at the gym before, and it's so funny because he generational wealth and all that, and he's just a regular looking guy as far as in the gym. You wouldn't think he doing what he doing, and that show goes to show you. Shout out to him for being moving low, because a lot of people be having money, especially in the Houston area, and they like to show it. But him, he moving low. That's good for him. But with the episode, I really liked that we went another angle. I like that we went the angle of like saying like, you know what, so family, like, and I said in the little thing in the little intro, I said a lot of y'all don't act like y'all family on social media the way y'all be posting, or like you don't think that your family will see it the way y'all be moving and acting. But I don't know, crazy work. What else did I like about that episode? I mean, there were a lot of good points. We talked about living in Houston and people paying for bottles, and he talked about people being depressed, and that's why they out all the time. He did bring up, which we kind of actually started the series with the whole conversation about using Chat GPT as to talk yourself through stuff. But I'm sorry, don't get it twisted. And I use Chat GPT a lot. It will give you the raw and uncut, but I still think it's best that certain things okay, but like I feel like using it to decode dreams, which I've been guilty of doing before. I don't do that no more. And to um tell you what to do in not every situation, but some certain situations, and it's like don't use Chat GPT to replace God. And we've said it before, and I'm gonna reiterate it again. Like, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Um, So yeah, great episode. If you didn't check it out, go check it out. Especially on YouTube. I ain't gonna lie, you know, I break the fourth wall on the live stream. The YouTube episode ain't do too hot. Now I think the audio's all right, but the YouTube didn't do too hot. So if you haven't checked it out, go check out Social Media Family with Anthony Dotson and let me know what you think. All right, y'all. So boom. Let's get into the first topic today. So now, one topic I knew I was gonna speak on. And I actually saw it. I'm gonna talk about that this week, but this other one I just saw, and I really want to speak on with Kai Cenat. And obviously, he talks about mental health. This is a mental health podcast, so it only makes sense. So let me share my screen and let's get to talking about it so we can unpack it. Courtesy of the Shade Room. All right. So Kai Cenat said that as I was very consistent in streaming, there were certain times I realized that I was losing touch with my reality. I needed to take a step back and fully reset. I started to realize I wasn't even spending time with close friends and family behind the scenes as much as I wanted to. And it makes you ask yourself, how often do we do that? Sometimes we get caught up in our jobs. And here's the thing. Some of us love your job. I mean, this is his job, right? And some of us, we get caught up in our jobs and like we shame people for getting caught up in their work. But then what? Because most people, their work isn't something that they love. But what happens when your job is something that you love? You can get caught up in that too. He said, honestly, I was honestly gonna say what I had to say, but when I'm ready to come back right now, something's telling me to speak up. I'm not sad, I'm not depressed, but I need to bring awareness to mental health to some of the feedback I've been seeing. I know I'll get clowned more for this. A few days ago, I decided to open up a little bit about what I was thinking. There's been so much love. But when I see some negative feedback I received, I got to know so why people don't speak up about this more often. Can't imagine things people are going through on a deeper level. So for those people that let me speak a little louder, I don't care if people look at me as a joke. Anime has always been something I wanted to get myself into, but I never had time to try and actually watch. But when I did, without me realizing, anime was able to take me to another world that I can relate to. It felt weird, but in a way, it just spoke directly to me. Hold on, he got a video.
And I appreciate everybody who's been sending me birthday wishes, as today is my birthday. So I felt
turn the volume up so y'all can hear it.
like it was the perfect day to be transparent with you guys. A few days ago, I spread awareness on mental health and how important it is to take care of yourself.
You might not be able
and
to
honestly,
hear
for the past few months, I've been struggling with mental health out of self-doubt
we'll
and
just
fright
read what he said.
of pursuing goals that I really want to achieve. And the reason I've really been in my head is because I just wanted to do more.
What I'm doing with you through.
I've gained to realize that I'm a true creator and I'm very passionate about creating. And I have other goals.
Okay. So good stuff. Good stuff. Now let's get into the first part, which is what does this have to do with mental health? So obviously it has a lot to do. Study how everything can feel. He wanted to speak up about it. He said he got a lot of positive feedback, but he said that he sees why a lot of people keep it to themselves. And again, all I can do is have these conversations because I've been a person that was scared to speak up on certain things. You know, I've had friends who have claimed their lives due to not feeling like they could speak up on certain things. So I know what that feels like. I know a lot of people feel that way. But it's just one of those things where we have to keep having these conversations and men just have to keep showing up. And these people using their platforms for everything else. They need to use their platforms to speak on this too. Because we see what keep happening. And then when these people hurt themselves or, unalive themselves or extremely depressed, we confused. We don't know where this is coming from. So I salute him for speaking up. And he's young and much younger than me. I think he's like 23, 24, something like that. So he, Gen Z, I feel like they're doing it more than the millennials have done it. But, now, WWID, what would I do in this situation? Obviously, it's a mental health podcast. So I talk about mental health. But, it's good to see people who aren't licensed professionals speaking up on these things because a lot of times people say that you can only have to be a professional to speak on certain things. Like, that's what they say. Like, oh, you're not a professional, and you can still have the conversation. We're not diagnosing ourselves or people. We're just having conversations. And again, people forget there's a difference between mental health and mental illness. And, everyone has mental health, not everyone has mental illness. So in that situation, speak up. WWJD, what would Jesus do in this situation? So, what is the most ethically and morally correct thing to do? Take a step back. One, own your faults. He owned that he hasn't been able to spend the time with his closest people. He's telling his truth, or telling his truth about anime, and that's what's been a release for him. And anime is celebrated now, but back in the day, people used to be closet anime watchers because you would get talked about real bad if they found out you watched that. And also, he, ethically, morally, he spoke on, you know, he called out flaws in the world, and he called out the flaws in man about being fearful, or called out the flaws of man of how they make fun of people or shame people for having, men especially, for having feelings. And he used his platform to speak against that. So kudos to him for that. And WSMD, what should men do in this situation? Use your platform to use your voice. Speak on whatever God leads you to speak on, and what could help somebody. In this case, that was gonna help a lot of people. And they're gonna say, if Kai Cenat can speak on this, I can too. If Kai Cenat can take a break, I can too. You know, and it's okay to take a break from work. And we live in a world where it's work don't stop, even with like fitness, right? But I heard a guy at the gym today. He's clearly ripped up, and he was talking to this girl in the steam room or the sauna, whichever one. I think it was steam sauna. And he was telling her, he was like, "Yeah, you need to get your rest days," because he was like, "That body is not made in this gym. That body is made at home on the rest." She was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get my rest. I'm gonna get my rest." And he said, "I had to learn the hard way from experience when one of my biceps popped because I was working out too much and not getting adequate rest." That applies with your work, even if it's something that you love. You're not getting the adequate rest, you're gonna suffer in some way. So keep that in mind. All right, y'all. We finna get into the final topic today. I'm gonna get some guests back, y'all. I ain't had no guests in a minute. I gotta have a guest. I'm gonna try to have one next week, but I might not have one again to the New Year's. So we spoke on Nicki Minaj a few weeks ago, and it really didn't tie into this specific segment of the Mental Man Monday live stream, because my goal has always been to speak on something that has to do with men. She really didn't speak on men at that point in time. But guess what? This week she did. She spoke with Erika Kirk, and she put on her full Magna hat, and a lot of people said this was a final straw with Nicki Minaj. So I'm gonna share my screen. This is from Complex. We're gonna go over a few of the videos, and we're gonna go from there. So here it is. I know that she said, "I know you're getting a lot of feedback, a lot of backlash from your own industry. What is your reaction?" She said, "I didn't notice. I literally tell them stay mad." One thing about Nicki Minaj, she got them words. I'll just say that.
Always say it really does not take skill to be courageous.
She
it takes
has
a
the
choice.
words to say.
Takes a decision.
Like,
and
I don't know.
I want to say again, thank you for coming and being courageous and being able to share your heart with us.
What we fail to
And
realize
the reason
is,
why that
hold on,
also
y'all, I'm
holds
fixing
true
this.
sentiment.
Fixing this because I think I know what didn't happen. So let me fix this. Because right now it's not playing in the speakers. Let me see if I can get this going. But she's always been the person where she always spoke her mind, and she always talk about people going against her and all this stuff. I'm interested to see how this all is gonna turn out. Um, I'm having some malfunctions with my sound. I wanna know why I can't hear it. Let me see if I can fix this. Um, because I know y'all can hear me, but I don't know if um what's going on. And if not, I might just have to just say what she did because I don't know why this isn't working. I don't know. Because I heard it earlier, so I don't know what's going on, you all. But we might just have to go off of what she said. I'm gonna try one more time. If not, we just gonna have to go off of just some of the things that she said. Okay, yeah, I can't figure it out right now. So we're live. This is what happens when we live, huh? Okay, well let's just go off of what some of the things that she said. Um
Handsome, dashing president.
Dear young men, you have amazing role models like our handsome dashing president. You have amazing role models like the assassin JD Vance, our vice president. She also said, which caught her a lot of flack. She said, I just want to tell boys to be boys and it is okay to be boys. A lot of people didn't like that. A lot of people didn't like that. So we're gonna unpack that. We're gonna unpack that and just go from there. So first of all, the first segment, which is what does this have to do with mental health? So now I'm not gonna lie, for anybody who is a Nicki Minaj fan, I'm sure they are in shambles. They're upset. They canceling her. They are following her. They are friending her because she again was speaking up for Christians being persecuted in Nigeria. A lot of people say that this is a publicity stunt. She's doing this just to stay relevant. She's doing this just to, you know, with a clout, things of that nature, right? And they talk about her husband and her situation. Let's talk about so many different things. But what I will say about it is, it's still wild to me that of all people, she's speaking up against Christians in Nigeria. Is it a publicity stunt? Only time will tell. I would want to believe this is real, but you just never know. And it only time will tell. But when it comes to mental health, the thing she spoke to men, right, about, looking up to Donald Trump. I know they hated that. Do I look up to Donald Trump? Business wise, yes. Everything else, business wise, it's a great business. You can't take that from me. But no, I lied. This is what I look up to Donald Trump with. I look up to Donald Trump's not give a care attitude. That's what I look up to in Donald Trump. Cause like he just don't care. Like that level of just don't give a damn. That needs to be studied. That needs to be studied for real. But when she made a comment, which I'm sad we can't listen to it, but she said, "Boys just be boys." Her fan base is, and I can't wait till we jump to the next segments, but is a lot of, those in the LGBT, a lot of women. So a lot of times, especially gay men love Nicki Minaj. And a lot of them still identify as men. But for those are the ones who don't, are, maybe trans or things like that, they were offended by that comment. Because a lot of them, I've seen the comments saying that you built your community, you built up your fan base on a certain community and people. Now you're telling them like, oh, we'll go be boys. And it's like in their mind, you turned on this specific community, you turned on the black community, and you turned on immigrants for Donald Trump. So yeah. Now, WWID, what would I do in this situation? I'm not Nicki Minaj, right? She spoke to men, but here's the thing with speaking to men. And even if, we don't know her full stance and if she's, what community she reps and whatever, right? But one thing we will say is you are allowed to change and you are allowed to change your mind. And in some cases, and only time will tell, God will change your mind. So you might have supported this before, but once God got a hold of you, he might say, nah, you might not have supported this certain political stance, but now you might. Now, people going to say, oh, you're trying to say that Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump and Erika Kirk are, on the side of God. That's not what I'm saying. But sometimes when you state the views that you are for, you're gonna, and then she talked about Jesus in that speech. Sad we can't hear it. But this conversation is not ending here. I'm gonna tell you that now. And I'll actually have somebody speak on it. But it just goes to show you like people can change. Some people want to say they're a coon, they're brainwashed, but I don't know. WWJD, what would Jesus do? Deal with persecution. Deal with persecution. Deal with speaking up for what he believed in, and and being on the going back to the comment that was made specifically for men. Do I think we should look up to Donald Trump and JD Vance? We should look up to Jesus. That's what she should have said, but I get what she was saying. But what I'll say is we need to, that's what she should have said we should be looking up to. But what I will say is we have to do, persecution is just what it is. And I'm gonna just leave it at that with this situation because that's what she's dealing with. And I hate to be that person, it's probably only gonna get worse. Do I think she's built for it? Yes, because she's dealt with it before. But, and what should men do in this situation? Be boys. It's okay to be a boy. It's okay to be what God created you to be. But also, it is my main thing with her, even whatever her stance is, if she changed her mind, she had a change of heart for whatever reason, you are allowed to do that. It doesn't matter what you did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last year, 6 months ago. You are allowed to change your mind. And that's what I'm going to leave it at that. Now, y'all, this week's episode, this drops, is called Social Media and Conspiracy Theories. And it is one from with a Midwest legend. We got a lot to talk about. We talk about a lot of different things. We talk about aliens. We talk about some stuff. But tune in this week for that. Drops on Christmas Day. You can listen to it while you're around the, I'm gonna say campfire, but around the eating your Christmas breakfast. All right, y'all. So that's all I got for y'all. PSA signing out. Always remember, keep your head like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And as always, remember, I love us. I mean it.